So welcome. Jamie Hernandez here, founder of Breakthrough Yoga Coaching Method, helping you bridge the gap between your spiritual practice and your business so that you can grow emotionally and financially. So today, I want to ask you, do you want to wake up to a business that is highly profitable and you love it? So both and are possible. And I want to ask you if that's what you want. Because if it is, then come on in because I have some clarifying questions for you. And those questions are always the beginning of the journey. You know, when we want something and we're not sure how to get it, it's to start to ask ourselves and ponder certain questions that we may have not pondered before. So if you're here live, hashtag live. If you're here for the replay, hashtag replay. And I promise I'm going to answer all of your questions as soon as this live is over or whenever I see them. Even if it's months from now, I'm going to come back and answer your questions. So question number 1, what do you want more than anything in your business? What do you want more than anything? Write me in the comments, first impression, write it down, okay? Don't be filtered, just let it happen, okay? And question number 2, has your current business model given you that? So question number 1 was, what do you want more than anything in your business and in your life? And number 2, is your current business model, has it given you that? The answer is either yes or no, okay? If it's somewhere in the between, I would lean towards a no, okay? So it's either a yes or a no. So let me know in the comments. Maybe we're really close to it. But it's really good to have a clear yes or no, because then sometimes when we don't have the final kind of clarity on the target, we never really get there. So it's really good to kind of be honest with ourselves and say, yeah, business is good. I love my clients. I love what I do. It's very fulfilling. But at the same time, I sometimes feel overworked. I feel underpaid. I feel, that I'm feeling drained sometimes by this. And it's not that, when we're in the healing and transformation business that we never get tired. But if that is a chronic feeling, if it is a feeling of despair, if it's a feeling of like close to burnout or you kind of want to quit, then it's a no, okay? So what do you want more than anything in your business? Let yourself claim it. Let yourself write it down. And has the business model that you are in given you that you just said? Okay? Write it down in your journal. And the answer is either yes or no. Okay. So, like I asked at the beginning, do you want to create a profitable business that you love waking up to? Yes or no? Okay. And again, it's something you love. It's not just about the money. I love it, and I am also being highly profitable. So let me know in the comments, because I have done all the models. I worked dollar per hour. I've worked private, where I work one-on-one with people. I've worked group. I've done teacher trainings. I've done retreats. I've done workshops, and I just feel and I love the high ticket business model. So the training today is called the high ticket business model for healers. Okay, because I think a lot of healers, they just assume I'm gonna charge $100 an hour, and then like that's sort of where the business model ends. And I am not saying there is anything wrong with that. Okay, that is a wonderful way of receiving what it is that you do. But if you have a certain dream of travel, of really investing in many different trainings, of owning a home, of owning a car, of having more free time, and that model sometimes I find can be limiting depending on how you utilize it. But it can be limiting because you kind of have to work a certain amount of hours to get that certain amount of income. And then what happens, and this is what I see, is we get burnt out, right? And then it's like, we're hustling for what it is that we're trying to work for. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not saying that we never hustle, but the high ticket model offers you the ability to charge 3K, 4K, 5K, 8K, 10K, whatever it is you want for your expertise. And here's the thing, you are an expert. If you've been in the healing journey for decades, if you've taken, trainings that you've invested in, tens and thousands of dollars in, then you are an expert based on what I call the triangle of three, based on your personal life experience, based on your professional training and your client experience. Okay, so we need to kind of figure out what that is and allow you to get clear on that so you can really own your own transformation. Okay, so I like this model because what is one of the things that we need when we are running a business, and it is a tool, it is profit, okay? And I am not saying that the business is built so that you can make profit, but if you're going to sustain yourself, if it's going to be something on a long-term basis, if it's going to be something that you come into with joy and you're nourished by your business, cash flow needs to be there. Okay, so the high ticket business model allows that cash flow to enter in, and it also allows you to perhaps try a different business model that doesn't necessarily burn you out. Or it also, well, here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. It's a simple business model, but what most people kind of they get into it and it's kind of exciting because they're like, wow, okay, yeah, charge like, a 4-figure or 5-figure investment for a program that I teach, because that's what I teach all our clients is learn how to distill your expertise and collapse time for your clients who are suffering maybe from binge eating or for suffering from, chronic anxiety, suffering from, depression, suffering. There's many different things that are happening with your clients, and you'll see that you'll have certain clients that tend to kind of be drawn towards you. Okay, so there's a clue. And so the block number one, and I already mentioned it, is that we kind of get stuck in this like, okay, I own, the way I make money is I make a certain amount per hour, or I have to have a certain amount of students, and it's based on a number instead of based on an outcome, based on your life altering transformation. Okay, so what would it be worth somebody if they could they've maybe tried 10 years of trying to stop binge eating, they've maybe tried getting over post-traumatic stress from being in the military, they've maybe tried everything to get out of chronic insomnia or depression, and you have this program that helps them come out of it in a way where it's a very clear program from A to B that collapses time so that they don't have to continue to spend years and dollars trying to shift out of where they are. So what I'm trying to tell you is charge based on your life altering transformation, charge based on your outcome versus your dollar per hour. Okay, and everyone, depending on where they are in their life, some things are valuable to others than the other people. Some people like living in big houses, some people like having fancy cars, some people like eating organic, and some people are they're more invested in their life where they want to do more athletics, or they want to go more on vacations, or they want to take more trainings. And it's not necessarily up to you to decide what is valuable for someone else. So that's the thing I want to say is like, get clear on your life altering transformation, and there is a reason why You know, there is a reason why you're gifted with the ability to transform these things. You most likely transformed it in your own life. You've transformed it in other people's life, and you're able to do it consistently. Yeah. And so, so it's not up to you necessarily to decide what is valuable for someone, right? It really just is up to you to be able to create something sustainable so that your own personal physical body, your mind and your energy can continue to do the work that you're meant to do, right? And so the model I teach is to be able to do that at a premium, at a high ticket, and teach for free, just like I'm doing now. Every week I offer you guys in-depth trainings that have brought many of my clients major clarity and shifted their entire life with these free trainings. So there are people that perhaps are not ready to work with you or are not able, and you can still serve them. So it can be a both and. And then there are people who, you know, are ready to take that, you know, deep dive with you. Yeah. And so, and I find when in this work anyway, I find, especially because I help people in their businesses, I find that sometimes when it's a question of, I can kind of try it, but I also can kind of back out, there is an energetic commitment that sort of is like, I'm in it, and then I'm kind of not in it. So I'll just kind of sort of go back to my old wounds and my old patterns because I can always run away. I can like escape. But when you, just like if you were to, you know, purchase a home or a car, you are going to take care of that thing. You are going to invest your time, your money, your love into it, right? And so there is something about taking that risk. You know, it's like when you go on a vacation or when you move to a new place or when you fall in love, there are risks to it. Yeah. And so there is something about committing to that, committing to what it is you want. So that's the other thing. That's a question, you know, point number 2. Get crystal clear on what you want, because that's why I asked you, what do you want more than anything in your business? Write it down, write me in the comments, what do you want more than anything in your business, right? That's where we have to begin, because that is an unknown. That is a thing where it's like, oh my God, like it's your highest potential. And here's the thing, your highest potential is in the unknown. It is in something that you've never experienced before. So of course, it's going to be scary, and your mind is going to think, I can't do that. But guess what? It is your truth. And I believe and I feel when healers are not aligned with their truth, the energy kind of implodes on them, and it sort of kind of moves into despair. It moves into overwhelm. It moves into a lack of kind of fulfillment in what they're doing, right? And again, you can do whatever you want with your life. But what I'm trying to tell you is, what do you want? What do you truly want? The thing that is even scary, the thing that is like you secretly really wish this, but you're afraid, you know, that you're going to be judged, that you're going to, you know, be perceived a certain way. You're afraid you're not capable. You're afraid that maybe you're not worth it. You're afraid that, you know, maybe it's not going to work. And that's the thing, you know, again, it's just like falling in love. There's always a risk. But what is a life if we're always going to be on the safe side and never, it's like never going out of the house and actually living the dream that you want, or never traveling the world if you wanted to travel the world and actually just seeing what would happen, right? So number 1, we're kind of stuck in an old business model, and I'm not saying that we don't do that business model. A lot of people are in that business model, and then there's a transition, and it can be both and. You can be paid $1 per hour, and you can have, you know, your signature program. So, you know, it's okay if you want to do both. I'm just saying that the $1 per hour model, based on what I've seen, and I've been in this industry for, you know, over 2 decades, it leads to burnout. I'm sorry to tell you. This is just what happens. And so for me, there's something that is not working there, right? And I think we have to be honest about that, right? So the other thing is sometimes we're stuck in an inability to actually receive what it is we want. So we get, when I said, like, get clear on what you want, that clarity will, it is not the thing that so there's always two energies that move through you. There is what you need to survive, right? So all of us need a roof, a house, a home, money, feeding our kids, pay the mortgage, pay the bills, right? And then there is your creativity, where it's like, wow, I would love to travel for 3 months. I would love to offer these retreats. I would love to work with these people. I would love to have this much in my bank account. It's this potential, this highest potential. And so when I ask you guys, get clear on what you want, I'm asking you from that place of clear creativity. And it's a place also of intuition. And the way we can think of intuition is remembering the past. You know how, like, when you're a child, you always imagined, you always wanted this, right? Just let me know in the comments what that is for you. You always envisioned yourself doing this. Like, I always envisioned myself. I love the fact that yoga just needs you. I didn't need an office. I didn't need a uniform. I didn't need anything. I didn't even need a yoga mat if I didn't have one. And I, for some reason, was so drawn to doing that, right? And so for you, there is a remembering of your intuition. There's a remembering of the past. But the other thing is, in your highest potential, it's also remembering your future differently. So when you have these visions, which is, past, present, future, they're all kind of happening at the same time. When you have these flashes and these visions that continue to come to you, that's kind of when you know that's what you want. But maybe the voices of, like, oh my God, how's it going to work? Oh my God, who's going to pay me for that? Oh my God, I'm not sure. When those are a little too loud, then we don't have room to really actually listen and trust what we want. And so that's kind of where this work comes in. And this is where you guys are good at this. We, as healers, have a hard time charging more and charging this high ticket model, because first of all, it's the unknown. It's this highest potential that we're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? This is crazy talk. Charging thousands of dollars for a program. Like, whoa, what do you mean? Whoa. Like, it's like we've never even known that. If everyone was doing that, we'd all be doing it, right? But certain professions, you notice, do that, right? There are certain professions where their consulting fee, if they're an architect or if they're a builder, or if there's a certain premium that you pay. And depending on their expertise, depending on their level, all these things, right? So we tend to think that, the superficial intellectual mind that kind of tries to protect us will think, like, oh, I don't want to feel greedy. I want to make this affordable for everyone, right? And, what is this? Who's going to pay me for that, right? So all of this starts to come in. And then we kind of believe that voice that is mostly based on our survival. And we don't necessarily hear our highest potential or what's possible, right? Being able to work, with a schedule, you have a lot of space and free time. And when you show up to work, you're not half out of breath. You're actually fully present to create the transformation that you're here to create with your clients. You're not kind of running from thing to thing to thing and giving it all and then feeling drained afterwards, or feeling like you do your thing and then you kind of have to check out for a while, right? And I'm not saying we don't take breaks and we don't have vacation, but just imagine creating a life where there is spacious collaboration between you and your clients, between you and your life, between you and your schedule, between you and your family, right? Because you have the tool of cash flow supporting what it is you envision. So here's the thing that I was about to say, where it's like, what we don't realize is that most of these kind of ideas come from some sort of old collective idea and some sort of core wound. And who's better at figuring that out than us, people who are in the healing transformational business? The only thing that's challenging is like what my coach would always say is, you can be an expert massage therapist, but you can't massage your own back. So just like me, I go into containers that help me see my own core wounds, and I have support. So in the container, if you were to work with me, I'd help you see, what are your core wounds holding you back from the life that you want? And we get really clear on what you want. I'm just proposing this high ticket model as a potential and a possibility, especially if you're kind of burning out, or you want to quit, or you're like, you've been doing the thing for so long, but you're constantly like overworked and underpaid. Something's not working, right? And so this is a potential and this is a possibility. Okay. But I always get clear on what it is that you want. Now, if you're aligned with what you want, then you have a North Star. You have what it is what you're going for. And the thing is, when we move towards that, what happens is all our false identities start to come up. Right? The false identity of I'm not enough. The false identity of I'm not worthy. The false identity of I'm not capable. The false identity of I'm not perfect. The false identity of I don't belong. And the false identity of I'm not significant. And if we don't do the work to see that false identity is actually running the show, right? Driving the bus, as we could say, then it's going to not necessarily let us move towards our highest potential. It's always going to pick the thing that protects us. So for example, if you are to put yourself out there online, the false identity will always, make sure that you're safe, right? Make sure that you're not going to be exiled from the tribe. Yeah. So we need to kind of look at that so that we are moving from the true identity. Right? Your truth. And again, the truth is not comfortable. The truth is not something familiar. The truth is actually really scary. But we can work with that. So number 3 point is we have to kind of work with these core wounds if we really want to implement in the 3D reality what it is we want, what we truly want. And to get a little bit more clear on what is it we want, I always ask you, or we always figure out, well, what's your zone of genius? What is it that you love? What is it that you're in the flow? And what is it, so in spiritual entrepreneurship, what is it that creates money? What is it that makes you money or has a potential to make you money? So we kind of need to play there, because survival will always do what is familiar. It will always do what's the default. It's always going to do what keeps you safe. And when we are in our zone of genius allows us to play in the potential of creativity. So what I teach our clients is how to bridge a gap between and discern when you're in survival mode and move into a place where what I call the soul, right? And that's kind of who we want running the business. That's who we want running our life. And I'll tell you right now, whenever the soul speaks, the soul is just in highest potential. So it's going to be like, go do that. Go do a TED Talk. Go whatever. Go write a book. I don't know, whatever it is that feels good for you. Go, create that program, right? Work with these people. And the first thing that's going to come online is our default, which is our survival, which is going to be like, oh, wait a minute. Is that safe? I don't know. It's not familiar. I don't know. I don't think we should go there, right? So one of the very first things we do is what I call the 3-level clearing, where we see where has that core wound been imprinted in the body, in the mind and inner energy. Because when we can see that, that really is the place where we can start to work with, you know, what has really been blocking us. And there's a story that I tell a lot, but I think it really exemplifies how this shows up, right? So I have a client, and her parents used to fight. And her mom would kick out her dad because her dad was an alcoholic. And so she would go outside with her soul self to go, you know, console her dad. And then her dad would tell her, like, oh, you don't love me, go back inside. So all of a sudden, and then she would try to go back inside, and then the door was locked. So here she was, trying to do what she knew in her heart was the right thing to do, was the thing that her soul was in truth with, in alignment with. But then the people who are taking care of her kind of gave her sort of these other kind of messages. And so her body encoded this kind of, I'm not sure what to do. I'm doing what it is that I feel my heart should be doing, but then now I'm being told not to, right? And then her nervous system and her energetic system kind of encoded this wound, right? And she would tell me, like, she did all of the strategy, coaching programs. She knew about marketing. She understood, her niche, all of these things. But whenever she would go out to do it, there would be this like doubt. There would be this chronic doubt. And then she'd kind of be like, I don't know if I should do that. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. And there's this kind of back and forth, right? And so it stems back from that core wound, right? And, core wounds, they have so many different layers. That's just an example of one moment in time, how things can encode in your body. For some of us who work with past lives, we understand that there's also that. And, there are many stages. There are kind of different wounds at different ages, right? So we're going to work with the one that is ready to emerge. Because when you're doing kind of core wound work, there is a readiness of what is to emerge, right? So that's kind of like the first half of our program, is really to clear the spiritual house, because then that way we can take that energy that was constantly looping in that wound and put it into our highest potential, start to alchemize it so that it can move towards what it is we want. And we start to get really clear on what our North Star is. And so when we have our North Star, and I always talk about this, we can't make a mistake. Especially if we continue to do the work, get clear, continue to listen to our soul, continue to gain that clarity, continue to listen to our intuition, remembering the past and remembering the future differently, then we can't make a mistake. And here's where a lot of us waver. We get into an obstacle, we feel rejection, we get afraid. And then what happens is we change, hey Carol, right? We change the North Star. Even though the North Star has been beckoning us for our whole entire life, right? And I'm here to tell you that you can't make a mistake in life, right? You can not listen to your truth. And that's okay. There's no judgment, But we all know as healers, whenever we're not completely aligned with our truth, there's something inside of us that feels a little bit like it's dying, right? Let me know if that's true. Yeah, because we are truth seekers. So that's why it's super important to bridge the gap from your survival to your soul so that you can constantly gain that message. The other thing is having a container, having a structure. So if you wanted to kind of have a certain body shape by whatever, the end of the year, you'd need a certain container, you need certain equipment, you need certain professional training, you need a community, right? And so if you were to work with me, that's what I'd offer. I'd offer you that safe container to do the work that we all are doing as healers, as transformational coaches, and continue to allow you to be accountable to your North Star. Because let me tell you, if you kind of just do this in a vacuum, there are your highest potentials that show themselves. But when you're by yourself, you're like, nah, it's okay. I won't do that. Like there's just something about having a mirror to reflect back to you your truth, and having a mirror to just kind of keep you on track, right? Yes, we can all kind of work out on our own, but it's like when you go to a class, when you have a certain progression, when you have a certain structure, when you have a certain safe container, knowing that the person who's holding that container with you has a level of experience that you know when the SHIT hits the fan, because it will. And this is the beauty of having, a high ticket premium program. Is it's not like just this DIY program or this superficial, like, let's just kind of meditate and then feel good. It's like, if you're really clear on where you want to go, you're tired of binge eating, you're tired of insomnia, you're tired of chronic depression, whatever it is your clients are, yearning to be free of, right? When you have that safe container that can continue to just give you the next obvious action, right? Then you don't feel lost. You don't feel like you have somebody to hold you accountable. But hold you accountable not to their dreams, but to yours. And that's why it's so important when I ask you, like, what do you want more than anything in the world? In your business. What do you want more than anything in your business, in your life, right? Because it's you are the only one that holds your truth. And I will just help you bring that out, strategize it in a way that we continue to create that container so that I can give you back the power, so that you could create that deep autonomy where you're alone, but you're supported, right? You're supported by a structure that is going to hold you accountable to your North Star. Yeah? And so tapping into that creativity, I think, is probably one of the most important strategies. So that's point number 4, is to continue to know how to tap into that strategy. So I'll give you an example. One of my clients, he was developing his program, and he was like, oh, I don't know, and all of his false identities started coming up, and he's like, I'm not sure, I don't think this is and all of, like, I don't think I can do this, all of that, right? And I asked him, like, because I know, and we talked about, like, he really gets in the zone, so his zone of genius, when he's walking, and he writes, he like, so he goes for walks, he sits in a cafe and he writes, and like he gets in the flow, yeah? And I asked him, so how when did you do that this week? And he said, I haven't. So I said, okay, guess what? Let's practice. Whenever your highest essence space is. Some people are night owls, some people are midday people, some people are morning. He's a morning person. Do that first thing, in the morning. Do that every day. That's all. That's all you do, right? Your next obvious action that's going to create the highest profitability in your business. That's what I, as your coach, will tell you. Your next obvious action that's going to create profitability in your business that aligns with your soul. You see the two? Okay, so it's not just about the money. Do what you love. So he did that. And then all of a sudden, the next session, he's like telling me all about, like the program and all these downloads and all of these ideas, right? Because we have to allow ourselves to play in the creativity. We have to allow ourselves to listen to the download. And here is the formula. You bridge yourself from the survival to the soul. You get the download. You put it in some kind of structure, like some notes, and then you go implement it. That's kind of what we always do, right, as teachers, and you go implement it. Then you get the feedback, and that's the circle, right? And then the feedback will constantly give you more clarity and insight. And you continue to watch what's working and what needs to be tweaked, because this is not about like creating a program that is the most perfect program in the world that has all of the tools and everything you've learned in the whole. It's getting really clear on what it is that your dreamiest clients want, right? And again, your dreamiest clients are based on your personal experience, your professional experience, and your client experience. Yeah. So you see, I ask so many different questions just to get us clear on what we want, just to get us clear on how we can align with our truth. Okay. The other interesting thing is when you start developing a business, it's a business. And a business requires that we invest our time, invest our money, invest the risk, right? And again, I never tell you to burn the boats. If there is something that is, you know, addressing your survival need, which is step number one, you kind of need to know how to feed yourself and and have a place to live and feed your kids, all that. That's important. But there's a way of transitioning, right? Where you can still do that and then transition. And the more you develop that confidence, the more you can start to shift into what it is you truly want. So one of my clients, she was in social work. And here's the thing, zone of genius and zone of excellence are two different things. And some people, especially in this field, are playing in their zone of excellence, thinking they're playing in their zone of genius. Okay? It kind of looks very close to the vision, but not quite. So, for example, my client, she was a social worker, really good at what she does, creating wonderful, beautiful transformations for what she does. But guess what? Here's the symptom. Every time she went to work, she's like, oh, I dread it. I hate it. I do not enjoy it. I'm not in the flow. Yes, I'm getting all this feedback. I'm getting all this validation. It's paying my bills. There's security there. But I feel drained. I'm exhausted. I don't have time to spend with my kids. Okay? And then she had this other business on the side that she was doing where she was helping aging seniors, right, live a more joyful, happier, healthier life. And every time she would talk about that, she would like just be so excited about the program and the people she worked with. And she was actually making more per what you call rate of return. Her rate of return for what she was making in her business was more than her stable, 9-to-5 job. Okay? And so that's the funny thing. So it's like we slowly work through the core wounds where we start to work in the body. We worked with the chronic emotions. We worked with getting mental clarity on, gaining clarity on what it is you want. We worked with mastering your energy, and slowly you transfer that energy into where you're going. So again, like I said, you can't go wrong. Okay? There's no wrong decisions here. Yeah? And so finally, because she was making pretty good income, and the other thing was just burning her. It was just she wasn't happy. Yeah, she just wasn't happy, just burnt out. But she was afraid, of course, because that was the stable thing. That was But what we realized is it's not because of the stability that she stayed. She stayed because she was taught, get a job, get the benefits, be a good girl, and have people like you, right? And so when we went back, what it was for her was her family would always have so much distress because she had an older sister who was, very adventurous, sneak out at night, bring boys home and all that. And so they would fight a lot, right? And when she was younger, she loved her sister and her parents so much that she didn't want to disturb the peace. She also didn't want to get kicked out of the tribe. So this kind of good girl kind of archetype stayed with her, where it's like, okay, let's be safe. Let's do the secure thing. Let's be the good girl, right? And so that was beautiful, right? When it happened, but then it didn't serve her for what it is she truly wanted, the truth inside of her, right? And so it took her a while to, once she wrote the resignation, she knew she wanted to resign actually a couple of years back. But when she actually was implementing, moving into the resignation, that's when the SHIT hit the fan, and she was completely freaking out, right? And that's where the high touch premium program, and if you were to work with me, helps you to really, like, we know you want to go there and it's scary. And so what can we do to help the survival needs be met and at the same time move towards what you want? So again, it's not like burn the boats, just go there. It's the readiness of your body, the readiness of your mind, the readiness of your nervous system to handle, right, the risk, because it is a risk. It's just like falling in love. It's a risk. It's a risk to go traveling. It's a risk to take some time off. It's a risk to go teach a certain class you've never taught before. It is. It is a risk. And the risk is you're going to feel what you don't necessarily want to feel. Rejection, shame, doubt, right? But also it's the risk of not being able to feel that fulfillment, that truth, that joy. Yeah. And so let me know if you have any big takeaways or what's resonating with you, if any of this is making sense. I'm going to recap, okay? So the high ticket business model for healers, right, is the ability to, what I teach you guys, distill your program, right, for your dreamiest clients. Get really clear on your life-altering transformation that you offer, that is unique to you. It's not unique in the world, but it's unique because you have a life experience, you have your client experience, and you have your professional training. And that synergy creates a unique way of giving that to your clients. Yeah. And so it's the ability to charge 4 to 5 figures for that distilled program so that you can collapse time and finally move your clients that you know you can help out of their pain and into a place where they can finally function in the world, and not that their pain completely goes away, but it's like one of my clients, he could barely get out of bed, and after the program he was able to go to work, he was able to play with his kids, he was able to do the things that he loves, and before he couldn't, right? So it's an understanding of your life-altering transformation. It's a shift out of the scarcity mindset into the potential, into possibility, into, it actually can be that simple. Not always easy, but that simple of creating cash flow in your business so that you can utilize that tool to support your own well-being. Because if your own well-being as a healer is not met, I'm sorry, you're going to burn out, and your cost is too expensive. Your cost is your life force, and that's just too expensive. And the cost for a lot of the healers that I've seen, they're desperate, or they're in despair. They want to quit. They're like, they don't think it's possible anymore for them, right? And that's just not true. It's just not true. Okay, it's just because we're stuck in that old paradigm. And this unwilling to receive highest potential, our intuition, that is, we remember what we've always known and we remember the future differently, what it is we want. So get crystal clear on what we want. And the way we gain to that clarity is learning how to bridge ourselves from the survival to the soul, staying in our zone of genius so that when we're in that zone of genius, the creative downloads come. And when the creative downloads come, we put it in a structure, and then we implement it, and then we get feedback, and we continue to do that, okay? And understanding, I think I started this point, but I forgot to continue it, is understanding that you are growing a business. So business requires risk, it requires time, it requires money. There's no guarantees, but there is a guarantee that you will reach your highest potential if you keep on going. There's no guarantee in the timeline. There's no guarantee like, okay, you're going to, make $1 million by next year. There's not that guarantee. But there's a guarantee if you continue to get clear on your North Star and you continue to step towards it, if you continue, even if you were to walk all the way to New York, you will eventually get there if you continue to stay focused. Yeah? Same with your highest potential. If you continue to bring it into your consciousness, get clear, and take action, right? Then you will get there. Yeah? So we have to understand we're building a business. There's no such business that doesn't require time, money, investment, that just works like that. There's no kind of get rich quick scheme. It's a practice of focus. It's a practice of working, and that's the big thing that I talked about in point number 3, working with our core wounds. Because if we don't do that, good news is we're good at that, but if we don't do that, that pretty much affects everything that we do unconsciously. Like, we don't really realize it, right? So as your coach, I'd help you really look at where that's imprinted in the body, where that's imprinted in the mind, and where that's imprinted in energy, and we would recode it so that you can bring what it is that you want, what it is that is your truth, down into the 3D realm. So it's out of the ether, it's out of this fantasy, and it's actually a reality. Because that's kind of what we're living here on this kind of world, is this 3D reality of being able to create what it is we want. It's kind of like what's happening here. And then sort of the soul is simply here to just experience, period. Not experience something good or bad or whatever. It's just here to experience, right? And then whatever it is, this is one paradigm, this is one way of thinking of it. Whatever it is that they don't necessarily lived out, they're going to come back and experience it again. So you kind of have to, you kind of have like your whole literally lifetime to move towards what you want. So there's no mistakes. But I do know when we continue not to listen to our truth and not to create something that is strategically sustainable for your business, what I've seen is burnout. What I've seen is, this kind of dissatisfaction with life. And I don't want that for you. I want you to live your dream. I want to help you be accountable for what it is you want. I want you to learn how to take the risk of living out what it is you truly desire, right? Because that's kind of when you can, even though it's scary, even though maybe we didn't do it perfectly perfect, we can sort of, our soul and our spirit can feel somewhat at ease because it knows that it's aligning with its truth. Yeah. So I hope this is clear for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and if any of this resonates with you. If you have the thing that you've always wanted more than anything in your life and your business, and it still hasn't been realized here in the 3D world fully, completely, maybe you're on your way there, right? Then DM me and let me know, Jamie, I'm ready for a breakthrough yoga coaching call. And I will be there, and I'll send you an application. And on that application, I'm going to start to read between the lines of where it is you're stuck, right? And then on the call, we're going to look at your blocks. We're going to see why is it that you're not living what it is that you want to live, right? And that will be kind of like the big key to allowing you to move towards what you want. Less from that place of fear and more from that place of bravery and courage, but truth as well. Okay, so DM me, and I will see you guys next week, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me know if you have any questions. I will be happy to answer. DM me if you would like a breakthrough yoga coaching call, or even to answer any deeper questions that you might have. So I'll see you guys next week, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, here in the discipline of business and yoga. Bye guys, thanks.